Hi there. I'm here doing my Tuesday live. Greetings from An Rhine here in the Gaeltacht in West Waterford. And I am waiting for some people to join me, especially my lovely guest, Pat Dunphy, who's a mortgage expert. Hi, Pat. Welcome. And I see Caroline from work joined. Hi, Caroline. Now I'm going to wait a minute before I invite you to join me there, Pat, and I say hello to a few people. Aisling Cahill has joined. Hi, Aisling. Aisling was my guest for the last 2 weeks, and Aisling is a solicitor based in Dungarvan. We had some great chats, and Aisling gave advice for sellers and buyers. Hi, Nora. Great to see you all. Love the waves. Now, I'm going to let Pat in. Now, Pat. Okay. This is Pat's first live gig. Waiting for Pat to join.
Hi, Regina.
Pat,
Good, thanks.
are you well?
Good, thanks. You?
Hi, Mary Finn. It's lovely to see you, Mary. I'm going to move my phone now so it's resting on my laptop. So I have all my information here. Pat, first of all, how are you doing?
Good, thanks. Good. You? How's everything?
Yeah, great. Look, it's great now. The initial panic is over and we've settled into a way, and we're planning and we're sharpening the saw. And then I have people on like you on lives. I'd never done lives before this, so I'm actually really enjoying it.
Yeah.
I'd like to say hello to Absolute Boats. Guess where they're based, guys? They're in Cannes. Wave Absolute Boats. They did wave. How are you guys? Yes, you're from Cannes. This is a worldwide event, Pat. If you're looking for great value there in Cannes, I can absolutely show you with great value here in Waterford. Pat, tell me, you're all dressed up there. You look like you're in the office. Are you in work?
I am indeed. We're business as usual. We're operating. Doors are open, so we haven't changed in the sense that it's going well. It's actually quite busy, which is really good, really strong. So like we're classed as essential service. So even though a lot of places are closed, we're actually open as normal. So we're still offering all the services we were previous, which is great. So
okay, I think that's absolutely fantastic because it's really important for people to know we are working, that mortgages are being lent, that you are communicating to people, but it's obviously in a different way. Is that right?
Exactly. Like we're doing an awful lot now over the phone. I'm doing an awful lot over the email. Sometimes there was appointments done before face to face, where that's changed a little bit now. We'll always meet the person, but it's kind of on a shorter interval, and then a lot is done through email and through kind of post even, and even people dropping documents into the branch. So like we're very, very busy actually on the mortgage side. And we still have mortgage applications proceeding. We still have mortgage applications drawn down. So it's really, really positive. So on that side of it, there's still people a bit more cautious, but there's still an awful lot continuing on. So
okay, so let's face it, everybody needs a home, whether that's to rent or to buy, but obviously you're in the business of lending money to people to buy properties, and I think this is really positive news because there's a kind of a sense that everything is frozen and there is absolutely nothing happening. So that's not the case.
no, that's not the case at all. Everything is exactly what it was previous. The exact same guidelines are in place. The same criteria is needed. There's just a couple of other questions that are asked. That's all it is. Just a bit more about income sustainability and a bit more about your jobs. That's all it is. Other same as where you're working, how much you're lending, your deposit, everything else is exactly the same as previous.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you a couple of questions here. Susan, I'd like to say hello and welcome. Hi to Beezer Waterford. Pat, I'm going to just, for the purpose of this chat, pretend I don't know any of the answers, okay? So if I was looking to buy a property, right, what you say that you need to prepare your paperwork. Okay, what is the paperwork that people need to be organising right now?
So it depends on what stage of the process you are. We kind of have a lot of people that want to be mortgage ready. So mortgage ready means you're looking to do something in 6 months' time. It's always good to talk to somebody 6 months you can in advance looking for a property. It's good because you can line up everything to be, and you've no disappointments in 6 months' time. So what you would need really is evidence of a repayment. So that's why it's always good to come into us 6 months in advance to know what you're. So if your budget, say for example, is purchase at 200,000, and say your repayment is going to be €800 a month, you need to go 6 months evidence of that in through your bank account. Now that €800 evidence will basically show the bank that you're used to and you're comfortable paying that on a month-by-month basis. So that can be done in two ways. One is via rent, so the rent will be debited from your account, and the second one then is also a savings. The good thing about that is we'd often have people in the past who might have been saving £2,000 a month if they're in that position. Whereas in their system, then we just need to show evidence of €800 a month. So sometimes they're overstressing themselves by actually saving too much. Whereas if they come into us, we can do a checklist straight away and say, look, you need to show evidence of €800 a month, be it rent and savings. So have your savings account showing X amount per month, have your rent then going from your bank account. So it's kind of like a checklist. Okay. That's the first thing. So they call that repayment capacity. So that's what that word means, is to show evidence of your repayment per month. Second one is where you have your bank account in order. So your bank account in order will be that you're no missed direct debits, no standing order fees, and that there's basically your bills are being paid. So it's basically a clean bank account. They need to normally see 3 to 6 months of your current account statements, be it with your own bank or be it with an external bank.
So I want to talk to you about that, right? I think there's some people out there who maybe weren't so good at keeping their bank statement clean and maybe missed payments and, not showing savings. But that's not the end of the world. Sure, it isn't. I mean, if it's about 6 months, what went on before is really history. Would that be fair to say?
That's generally fair to say, but generally there is an ICB report done. So an ICB will be a credit report. So a credit report looks over the last 5 years. So what they do, part of the application, they do look at that. But things have happened in the past. Sometimes people got into situations. It's about how you dealt with that. So I suppose if you dealt with it in a good and efficient way, I suppose the lenders will look at that in a positive way. Because not everything, things have been up in the air, I suppose, over the last couple of years. So not everything has been plain sailing. So they will look at things if things are a little bit different, but done on a case-by-case basis. So they do look at a credit report, which is any loans that you would have had, all in order.
I'd like to say hello to Orla in the Gourmet House and to Gina Kelly. It's great to have you join us. Can people do their own credit check, Pat?
They can do their own credit check if they want. We can get that via the Central Credit Register themselves. It's an online form that you can do it. You can just Google it. But it's part of the process that we do it as part of the application anyway, so you don't have to do it if you don't want to.
Kind of, if people are nervous or they're embarrassed, they can kind of gear themselves up. But ultimately, by going 6 months in advance to Pat or another mortgage advisor, expert bank, whichever your choice is, you're getting your ducks lined up and you're cleaning up your bank statement well in advance. Isn't that right, Pat?
We kind of do like a plan with somebody. So we kind of come up with what their rough purchase price will be. It doesn't have to be a particular area. It's just even what they're comfortable with. And we kind of use a system in place where we kind of throw a couple of numbers out. And it's basically see what would you be comfortable paying per month? What's your price range? What part of Waterford are you looking at? So it's kind of about setting the expectations of the customer then. So they know that they can afford €800 a month or afford €1,000 a month or maybe more.
So on the presumption, right, that there are two type of buyers here, first time buyer, second time buyer, right, and that the price of the house is, let's just say, 200, rounded off, okay? Yeah. What sort of repayment would be required on that, Pat?
So a lot of it will depend on their own, like there's a couple of different things on it. So it's based on the term that they want to go with. It's like, I suppose we do a term up to 35 years, but then I suppose we can go down as far as maybe 5 years if they wish. So a lot of it will be based on the term. So it's kind of done on a case-by-case basis. So they can be anything from €800 upwards, depending on what they want. Some people can put in more as well, more money. So how it works is if a purchase price of say 200,000, if you're a first-time buyer, we can give the max of 90% of that. So that means you have to come up with 10%. But some people have more savings, so they might actually want to put in more than 10%, which means their overall loan amount will be lower. So obviously the lower the loan, the lower their payments will be. If you're a second-time buyer, so that means if you had a mortgage in the past, we can give up to 80%, so the deposit is 20%. Now, people that have had a mortgage before can sometimes be in a bit more of a positive position because they have equity in the house. So the equity in the house can really be classed as their deposit, part of their deposits, which can really help. Especially if you're switching mortgages as well. Switching is another thing because you have a lot of positive equity in it. So that kind of helps with the deposit side of it. So it just depends on the overall term that they want, and it'll overall depend on the overall
mortgage. So there's just say hello to John Fahey, to Brian Dempsey, to Olivia Hannafin. Hope I haven't missed anybody there. It's fantastic to have you all on board. So key things is your 6 months bank statements. Your in terms of work, talk to me about work.
Pretty much all you need really is you need to be in a permanent position. So a permanent position, ideally in the last 6 months. We get a salary search completed, which is pretty much our employer just fills out a search, and this is all it is, and we actually provide it. So with that, then they just stamp it and confirm that you're in permanent full-time employment, and we just need your last 2 payslips. So we don't need 8 or 10 payslips. We just need your last 2 payslips, and your payslip basically needs to match it. So that's your salary cert. We also need one more document, which has changed a little bit this year. It's called the Statement of Liability. Basically, that replaces the P60. So they don't do P60s anymore. So P60s get sent to your employers, but your employer would get them for you every year. Whereas now, the statement will be actually printed off yourself from the revenue. So that's all from your employment-wise, just to confirm your income, is your statement of liability for last year, 2 pay slips, and the salary cert. And that's all we need.
Yeah, and in most companies, everybody wants to see their employees getting on. So maybe the person in accounts can help you with this if you're running into any difficulties. Yeah, Pat?
Okay. That's where payroll departments have actually helped complete
yeah.
this.
And Nora, who's watching here, would help some of the team there in terms of getting the paperwork together. So if you're not sure about it, don't worry, there's always somebody there to help. In terms of what deposit is needed, Pat, again, for the purpose of this, I'm asking you these questions. I know a lot of the answers, but you're the guru on this and you might help people out. Thanks, Pat.
So pretty much on a deposit then will normally be for a first-time buyer, it's 10% deposit is the minimum that they normally look for. So with a first-time buyer, there's a couple of different options they can look at. So generally that 10% deposit would normally be from their savings. That's the majority of people would automatically have that if they can at all, or be very close to it. So that 10% deposit, I suppose, it could normally be savings, which is the main part. But also what a lot of people don't realise is a family member can actually help with some of that.
Yes.
So, for example, if they need a deposit of 10,000, say they have 6,000 themselves of their own savings, a family member step in and give them a gift letter for 4,000. So that brings them up to the 10,000. So sometimes there's ways around it. It's not a case of black and white, just kind of do things around it.
So can Anne-Marie Aylward, it's lovely to have you on board. Thank you, Anne-Marie. Pat, should people wait until they have the full deposit to go and make their appointment with you, or can they be building it up along the way?
They can be building it up along the way, but they'd want to be fairly kind of close to it. Like if they're a little bit off, it's fine. So normally if somebody comes in and they're not ready to go for 3 or 4 months, and say, for example, they're about a couple of whatever off, we can actually say it in a recommendation or a report that the customers are not ready to activate their loan until September. And then we'll say, look, based on the savings of €800 for the next 3 months, you'll see they'll have the 10% deposit. So because once we know the story behind it and we can explain it, then that's fine. But they don't have to be exactly on it, but they have to be able to show that it can be evident over the next couple of months.
And is there things that, like, let's say, I know there is, but in terms of a bank statement, what do you not want to be looking at on a bank statement in terms of what might actually worry the lender?
So generally it will be misdirect debits. So if you have a car loan that's say ongoing on a month-by-month basis, and say the car loan, you're actually missing the repayment on the car loan, that kind of shows that you're actually not able to manage that particular. That will be one thing. The next thing would sometimes get around basically if you're getting paid on say Thursday, but you have all your direct debits coming on a Wednesday. Sometimes that can be a way. It's just a case of managing your account in an effective way, because sometimes people don't really know that there is an issue there until somebody points it out to them. But that could be part of the plan. We say, look, for the next 6 months, you just need to change your direct debit date from a Wednesday to a Thursday, and then it's another part of the plan in the process to clean things up.
That's very nice. That's very good. So you can move it around to present the statement to look as good as possible for lenders. Hi, Miriam. Great. So we've discussed the paperwork. So will you just run through that again for people who've just to recap overall what the paperwork for persons looking for a mortgage out there?
Yeah, so pretty much if you come into me today and say you're looking to make a mortgage application, generally what we look for, and a lot of this we can get, you can either drop it into the branch, there's the mortgage application form, which is fine, that's straightforward. That means you're applying. The salary cert is discussed along with the 2 pay slips and the revenue details. Then say if because we do mortgages for customers that are non-permanency TSP customers, so it's obviously we look after people in our own ones as well, so we can see all their transactions. We obviously don't need statements for customers that belong to permanent TSP, but we do an awful lot of mortgages for customers who are non-permanent TSP. So obviously we need statements for those as well. So if you're a current account, we'll just say for another provider, we need 3 months current account statements. We need 6 month statements, your savings, so just to show your savings on a month-by-month basis. And then we also need 12-month loan statements. So it's pretty much just statements that you can easily get from online that you can print off yourself. So 12-month loan statements, 6 months savings, 3 months current accounts. And that's kind of pretty much it then, more than that. So it's more revenue details and savings and current accounts. And we give you a checklist when you are looking to apply, and it's pretty much we talk you through, and at that stage, this is what.
Great. So, Pat, I'm going to put you on the spot here. Can you tell us about anyone that you've just organised, like people who are applying for mortgage approval now?
Yeah.
Has during the lockdown who've applied for mortgage approval, swapping their names or just giving us a first name, kind of give us an indication of what their story is and what you've done with them. Maybe just one person or one couple.
Yeah, like we've actually several couples lately. Like as I said, they're on business as usual for us. We're still having people getting approved. We're still having mortgages drawn down. We still have loan contracts being issued. Everything else is still going as normal. As albeit there's extra questions being asked just about their employment and are they affected by different things. But other than that, then it's business as normal. It is on a case by case basis. So pretty much it's business as usual. But like we're busy which is great. We're still seeing everything as normal. So it's be it all extra questions, but that's in every business.
So it's fair to say, right, there's a misnomer out there that there are no mortgages being lent at the moment. What's your answer to that, Pat?
We haven't seen that with us anyway. Everything has been normal. As I said, like it's probably on the inquiry side might be a little bit quieter than normal, but that's probably because of what you're saying. But like I'd like to get that message out there that we're in particular, we're very busy. We're open for business. We're accepting applications for everything, be it obviously the mortgage side, but we're doing everything from normal lending, from personal loans, credit cards. We're doing everything as normal. We're still accepting applications. We're not turning anything away. We're just taking them a little bit differently. So before, obviously, if you were doing an application, you'd be sitting in front of us and taking everything there and then, which would normally be like 45 minutes. Whereas now, I suppose with the restrictions, we're not having that in place. So we're doing a lot over the phone and by email at the start. So say if I was doing a mortgage interview with you today, I'd get in touch with you. We do a pre-screening over the phone. We do a lot of the affordability assessments over the phone. And then you'd pop into the branch to me maybe just for 2 seconds. You'd hand me in the application form, which I've emailed to you. You'd complete it there, and then that's when I've met you face to face, and then you can hand in all the documents to me. Because once you hand all the documents into me, pretty much within 2 or 3 days, I'd have it processed, and hopefully within 5 to 10 working days, then you'd have your approval back.
You give me a story of a couple you've just approved that you can think of, please. I'd love to hear a real story, please, Pat. A brief one.
We have a good few. Like we have one in particular that's kind of a self-build that just got approved, and we have another one then that's somebody looking to buy a house that's actually been approved, and another one on developments that's actually been approved as well and drew down. So there's definitely a lot going on, especially on the developments. I suppose people would have thought that it's kind of stopping, but I've had 2 recently that are after buying from a development in the sense of a housing development, and they're still going as normal because obviously the builders are looking to get back to work. So that's still going along as normal. They're itching to get into, the builders are itching to get back to work.
That's really, really encouraging. Now, Orla is asking, what does Pat charge? Pat works for Permanent TSB, so he works for them. So you don't charge a fee, obviously. Is that right?
Exactly.
Yeah. He wants you to buy their mortgage package. Pat, what's your email address, please?
So it's pat.dunphy, DUNPHY, at permanenttsb.ie. And if anybody has any questions, be it a small question or a big question, just pop me over an email. And what I'll do is I'll come back to you straight away and I'll give you any information I can.
But you're always really helpful, Pat. Thank you. So a few more questions. Some people say paying rent is dead money. I don't believe it is because not everybody's ready to get stuck into a mortgage. But obviously, for people who are ready to move on to the next phase and buy their own home, what's your view on rent?
And the good thing about rent, it's a really strong indication that somebody's used to paying a set amount per month. So as I mentioned earlier on, we have repayment capacity. So if you're paying €600 of rent per month, that's really strong. That's showing that you're in somebody's property and you have an agreement you're actually paying €600 per month. Especially if it's coming from your current account, you're actually showing a set agreement of €600 per month in place. So that shows the bank your ability to demonstrate a set amount per month towards your mortgage payment. And especially if renting and saving. Say, for example, your mortgage payment going forward is €800 per month. From that evidence, that €600 of that 800 is part of that evidence, and you're saving €200. So you don't have to be saving €800 a month. You could be renting 600, and then the evidence then is the €200 on top of that. So it's really good. It's really strong. It's not albeit bad. It's actually quite positive. So.
Great. No, that's really good. And look, I suppose in terms of what I'm saying, I think that's Laura. Hi, Laura. Dermot. Hi, Dermot. Thanks for joining us. In terms of, we've noticed a bit of a pickup in the last week I think the clouds are starting to move away, and with restriction changes now, particularly next Monday, there's more businesses coming back in the next phase. So we've seen first-time buyers now. We have a first-time buyer who's waiting to see a house in Dungarvan. We have investors inquiring about apartments that we have for sale in Waterford City. We have 2 cash buyers, one that is requesting contracts. We've sale agreed a property before lockdown and it's all on track. And then we have another cash buyer looking for property in Ardmore. So if anyone knows of any nice properties for sale in Ardmore, give me a call. This lady is looking for a really nice coastal property because she wants to get out of Cork City, and people are looking for country homes. We've 2 properties, actually, interesting enough, in Lismore and Mount Melleray, and we've had more inquiries in the last couple of weeks than we've had in the last couple of months, because there seems to be quite an interest now in people looking at getting out of big congested areas and moving to less densely populated areas. Have you any thoughts on that, Pat? Have you seen that?
I think definitely where people kind of been at home a bit more now, or maybe have a bit more time in their hands, they're kind of starting to realise maybe they want to look maybe somewhere else besides the 4 walls that they're in.
Yes.
So, and even like we have a lot of people that would have been at maybe an inquiry stage or approval stage previous to COVID, but they're still waiting. We're obviously following up with all our customers to see how things are, and they're all saying they're still actively looking for properties. They're still definitely looking, and people are still trying to continue on as normal. So, like, the more positive people are, there's a huge amount of people out there that are not affected by this, but I know a lot of people out there that are affected. So there is a lot of people out there continuing as normal. They're just waiting for everything to kind of return to the new norm, as it's going to be called.
Yes. Hi, Jacinta. Thanks for joining us. So in terms of, let's just say that you have, I'm sure you've got people who are mortgage approved and they're waiting for a bank valuation. Have you heard anything, Pat, in terms of when the valuers will go out and do the bank valuations?
We're kind of some valuers are going up, but I suppose maybe after the next week, I suppose things will start to kind of improve a bit. There's some valuers that are still continuing on as normal, and we haven't had any issues in here ourselves directly with valuation, so everything is normal, like so. But it is case by case basis. Everything's been normal. There's been 1 or 2 that might have been delayed, but I suppose we've got them done in the end. So it's just there's extra bit of caution being taken on board by the valuer, I suppose.
Yes, of course, and not going into properties with people there, and working within the guidelines that are set out. Pat, I think this is Positive Tuesday. So in summary, what I've taken from our chat is get organised, get to your lender, get to your broker, get the paperwork filled in, because from an estate agent's perspective, we're really going to be reducing the number of viewings that we're doing going forward with the new way of doing things, because if you're not mortgage approved, it's highly unlikely that you'll be able to view a property if there's homeowners in it. So you really, really need to get mortgage approved. And if you're thinking of selling, get your ducks lined up. And if there's anything I can do to give some advice, and obviously we'd love the opportunity to sell it, but that's not why I'm here. I'm here to help. So Pat, is there anything key that we've left out that you think people need to know?
Like generally, if anyone has any major kind of questions or concerns they want, just tell them to get in contact with me. As I said, my email address is pat.dunphy@permanentasv.ie. Like if somebody is at the very early stages and they just want to run a quick question saying, would this work or wouldn't it work, just ask away. And like, as we don't charge anything, because we're here to provide a service. The service we provide, the quicker this will be over and everybody will get back to normal. So if any questions,
Great.
best thing I'd recommend is get ready. So if you can try it all, talk to us a couple of months before you're looking at a property, because at least everything's going to be lined up. Because there's nothing worse, I suppose, if you see a property, it's your dream property, and all of a sudden then there's something missing or there's something you haven't done right. Whereas if you come into us 6 months in advance, you're going to be ready to go. So one, you're more positive yourself. 2, you might even have your approval ready to go, and then you're pretty much it's just that. So.
Pat, tell me, if somebody's worried about getting their mortgage approval and it expiring, how quick can it be, hi Cormac, to actually get your mortgage refreshed?
So generally on our side, it's just a case of we just need up-to-date bank statements and up-to-date pay slips and salary certs. So it's just not a whole thing being reapproved. It's just to make sure your pay is the same and make sure your bank statements are the same. So pretty much the stuff that could be emailed in normally quite fast. Our mortgage management team there's a lot of requests going in, but we try and make it as quickly as possible. So generally,
that's fantastic. So get your ducks lined up, get organized. So when you do find your dream home, whether you're a first time buyer, you're buying a second hand property, whichever it is, at least you have a better chance of getting it and a better negotiating position, I would say, because it's all about being purchase ready, isn't it, Pat? Because things will change and things move. You know, and we will be listing properties more frequently now as the lockdown is lifted and restrictions are eased. And I think it's really important to stress that. There's a lot of media out there saying that sales are down. Activity is down because we can't do the viewings. When we can actually go to the properties and show the properties in a safe way, of course, within the guidelines, activity will start to move again. It will probably be a bit different, but it'll still be moving and it'll be better than the way it is right now.
Yeah, definitely 100% agree.
Great. Regina at libertyblue.ie if you have any questions. And Pat, will you give your email address again there, please, for those who've joined?
So it's pat.dunphy, DUNPHY, permanenttsv.ie. And I'll give you my mobile number. So it's 086 3711072. And both of those you'll contact me. And if I don't come back to you straight away, I'll come back to you as soon as I'm free.
And I think Richard, one of our tenants, is going to join in. I didn't see him, but I just want to say hi to Richard if you're there. Hi to everyone. Hi to Dawn McGrath. Dawn McGrath, Dancer to the Stars. Thanks a million. And as I always say, up the Daisha and slán go fóill.
Thanks very much. See you next.
That was brilliant.
Thank you.